My name is Jeannie Bell, and I just want to share with you an experience I recently had in Canberra, participating in the march that's been organised by Aboriginal people and their supporters in Canberra for the last 4 years.
Where they not only killed the Barra people, my people, but they butchered us. 400 of these tribes from around Warren all come together for a big corroboree. And the farm owners found out about it, so they all came there and they butchered it. Still to this day, if you go to that tree and dig around, you will find bits of human bone.
Now, I don't subscribe to the war because the war was never declared here. War was never declared. Let's make that very clear, in terms of the frontier. What happened during the frontier period is mass killings. They were slaughters. They were murder. Yeah? There are dead people everywhere. There's sites all over Australia where massacres occurred. And these massacres occurred primarily because the farmers and got their posses together. And then they went out and they killed the people to move them off the land, clearing the land of the blacks. Now those killings, like murder does not have an end period. People can be tried posthumously for murder. You cannot forgive mass slaughter. You cannot forgive the mass killings like that. And it's about accountability, it's about justice. And it's about also easing the pain of a lot of us who've had that message passed on to us, where, we go past and we talk about, there's bodies over there, there's bones over there, there's people there. They've never been buried, there's never been a requiem established whereby, we can pay our respects to them and have them rest in peace. And I think we owe it to our ancestors to make that happen. There's a whole lot of liberation things happening, but we can't ignore that. That's not to be ignored. When you read some of the history that's recorded in Tasmania, they call it the Tasmanian Wars. But they talk about the Tasmanian Wars as if war was declared. But when you look at the history books and you look at all the archival data associated with the government and the governors at the time, the governors did not declare war. What they did do in some parts was to declare martial law. Now, martial law is not war. Martial law is putting down a resistance. Now, one can argue that, okay, by definition, that may be war. However, it's not plain and clear, and that's not what the intention was when they did it. It was to put down an uprising against the people. So I think the problem they had was after 1837, any killings of Aboriginal people were to be reported. A coronial inquest was to be conducted, and the findings of that coronial inquest was to be sent to the Crown of England. That was one of the results that came out of the 1836-1837 inquiry into the killing of Aboriginal people in the Dominions and in the colonies. So I think we're owed that. Most people have a fairly good general idea of some of the reasonably exact coordinates of where these things have happened. I think we need to put up memorials at this place because there are no memorials, and I think those families who participated in those killings, we ask them to contribute money to putting up memorials on that land, and we ask the people where those things have happened to excise, to give us those blocks of land, fence it off so we can put the memorials up there. And that's part of healing this nation. I think it's our turn to heal ourselves, and if they're not going to do it, we do it.
We are now planning to spread the word much more widely this year, leading up to 2015, April 2015, when the thousands of mainstream Australians gather at the War Memorial in Canberra to celebrate the significant 100th year of the battle at Gallipoli, but yet again to ignore what's happened in terms of the loss of lives of hundreds of men, women and children living in their own traditional country.
What would it take for you to let us through? Constable Chapman, what would it take for you to let us through, sir?
With more communication around the country, that we can encourage all Indigenous people who understand to become more informed about why this march is so important and why we need to gather at the Tent Embassy in Canberra in 2015 to make a bigger impact on the thousands of people from mainstream Australia who gather each year to celebrate the events of mainly Gallipoli, but other wars that Australian Defence Forces have participated in.
Aboriginal people never laid down when people came into their country. They resisted the best way they could. We are not a people who fight over territory. We've never been that. When the white settlers came here, they found a peoples in simple organisation with a very defined governance, very defined boundaries, and a very, very settled way of coexisting with nature and with each other. The whites came, they come from a culture of claiming territory and invading other people's sovereign territories and rights in order to conquer and take over the lands. And of course our people suffered, not at the hands of organised wars and declared wars, but at the hands of free settlers who were murderers in their desires to take our lands. And of course the Crown sat idly by watching this happen, and where Aboriginal people became too strong, sent in military forces. 2015 is the centenary of Australia's participation, they say, in the major wars, and I think it's time that as part of that we also take time to reflect the suffering that happened on the mainland of Australia. Australia was not settled peacefully. It has the most horrible history of genocide and war crimes against the people and crimes against humanity than you will ever find anywhere else in the world.
There has been no attempts on their part to include the people that march in commemoration for the hundreds and hundreds of Aboriginal men, women and children who were poisoned or slaughtered.
For all of us, you're a warrior of the Bundjalung people.
Bundjalung!
You died for these soldiers in blue here. And you died for everyone that's walking here proclaiming peace and justice for all. Shame on the country for not allowing an Aboriginal man to honour his heritage and his right for peace and justice of this land. For all men that we're supposed to proclaim equal under some God. Shame! May your blood boil with shame! You've done this to my people! How dare you forget? We love our people too! We have a history, 100,000 years old! You don't walk on my land and hurt my people and my peace and my dreamings. Shame! I forgive you. I ask for you to be welcome to my country, to walk with me and my peoples, 250 nations of Aboriginals, walk this land for 100,000 years. You are welcome. We don't come to you with AK-47s or bombs to say go. I just want to walk up to the memorial and honour my brother's sacrifice. Let me through to honour the warriors of our people who fought for a country that did not care for us, did not give us honour as men and warriors. We did the same as you are doing now, protecting the families and children and your heritage. You're on my country. I speak for all my people. Until the Royals say a treaty to us, you are on blackfella land. You pay respects to me and honour my people, and then this land is going to be a good country. You will not be walking around with weapons as soldiers, trying to be peaceful about things. You will walk as you should, free, without arms to wear for the threat of your life. That's why these men died. Black and white and yellow and brindle. We gotta stop that. Please let us through to honour all our dead. In the name of peace and justice and love for our families and our country. Walk in that respect that you wear. Thank you.
The power of our ancestors and our
Peace be with us. I respect you. We share this country in peace.
We are not criminals. We are Indigenous people, Aboriginal people of the land.
Every Australian knows the Aboriginals have a sovereign right to this country. And I want to see that acknowledged by the government.
When will you allow the Frontier Wars to be remembered in the War Memorial? What stops this at this time is this police line. The people want it to happen. They applaud us all the way up. And you stand there pretending not to hear, but you can hear and your hearts are alive. You know this is the best thing we could do in this country.